सत्सङ्गत्वे निस्सङ्गत्वं निस्सङ्गत्वे निर्मोहत्वं निर्मोहत्वे निश्चलतत्वं निश्चलतत्वे जीवन्मुक्तिः पुनरपि जननं पुनरपि मरणं पुनरपि जननी जठरे शयनम् इह संसारे बहुदुस्तारे कृपया पारे पाहि मुरा।
ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शंकराचार्य मध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयम् करुणालयम् नमामि भगवत्पादम् शङ्करम् लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्करम् शङ्कराचार्यम् केशवम् बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। उकारस्वन्धकारो वैरुकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरिरित्यभिधीयते। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्तगोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। 134 न जायते नो म्रियते न वर्धते न क्षीयते नो विकरोति नित्यः विलीयमानेऽपि वपुष्यमुष्मिन्ने न लीयते कुम्भ इवाम्बरं स्वयम्। न लीयते अम्बरं कुम्भे इव लीयमाने वपुषि अमुष्मिन्ने न लीयते. What appears as a constrained Swarupa is actually not constrained. The constrainment is due to the limiting factor called the Upadhi. Upadhi is, you can call as adjunct. Like a crystal appears in red color, not because crystal is red, but because there is a flower which is in red color sitting besides the crystal. So the crystal appears red. Crystal is pure. All it has is an ability to be transparent. Because of that, the red color of the flower is seen as though it is the color of the crystal. That is called a Upadhi. In this verse, the Upadhi that is being highlighted is of a pot which is limiting the space. Kumbha ambaram iva. Kumbha is a pot, Ambaram is space. The pot has a certain shape, a certain size, and it has the capacity to hold something in it. And that capacity, if you don't pour anything inside that pot, is seen as to be holding space, because the pot is seen to have a capacity of holding something. If it is not holding water or milk in it or any such stuff, it appears as though it is holding space in it. As it is not holding any space. It is just there inside space. Because it is pervaded both inside and outside by space, it gives an impression that it is actually holding some space inside it. But the space is one continuous entity, and it is actually untouched by the pot. The pot may come and go, the space is undisturbed, it is just there all the time. As an independent existence which is not dependent on the pot or mug or the earth or whatever, everything is floating inside it. That's why the closest to Atma Brahman is the space. The only problem with the space, why can't it be called as all pervasive, is because in your deep sleep, even that space is not there. So space needs to be lighted up by your Swarupa in order for it to exist. But beyond that, you can actually look at space as nearly having similar qualities as Brahman, because it is all pervasive and it is untouched by anything which is in it. It supports everything to exist, whether it is the Earth or Jupiter or Saturn or Pluto or anything. In the Vacan, all that you see is supported within the space. But there is nothing which limits the space. In your mind, you think a jar is limiting the space. Kumbha, jar, pot, we can take it as pot. Kumbha is actually a jar because its shape is different from ghata. Okay, but it is okay. Even you take anything which has a capacity to hold. If it's not holding something, it appears to hold space. But space is not held by it. So when the jar or pot is broken, it appears as though the space which was limited has gone and joined the larger space. But actually it hasn't undergone any kind of transformation. Viliyamane api vapushi amushmin na liyate kumbha iva ambaram swayam. Also, it appears that the limited space is now gone when the pot is broken. Is gone. But no, it is not gone. It was never there as a pot space. It was all the time there as the existential space. You thought it is limited by the pot. Similarly, this Atma which is lighting up everything, also lights up this individual ego called Jivatma, and through that it lights up this Mahat Buddhi, Ahankara, everything. It lights up all the objects which are evident as this cognition. But even when this body is gone, though since this mind and buddhi are gone, intellect are gone, therefore it doesn't recognize its individuality, but the Swarupa continues as an existence. It was never born because the time is dependent on it. In order to be born, there should be a time when it doesn't exist, and then a point in time when it actually come into existence, and there should be a point when it ceases to exist, is called Maranam. However, this Atma Vastu, Brahma, there is no time when it is not there, because the time itself is dependent on Brahma for its existence. Therefore, na jayate, na mriyate, because again, there will not be a point in time where it will cease to exist, because that point in time, after it ceases to exist, if there is a time, that time also has to exist only on this Swarupa. There is no other way time can exist. Therefore, there can never be a time when there is no Atma, Brahma. Navardhate. It doesn't undergo any growth. In order for something to grow, what is grow? Growth means there is an size, there is a shape. It needs to have certain attributes for it to grow. The fire grows, the tangible body grows, the tree grows. So when you have to say there is an increase, it means it should have a size and shape and limitation. How can you say the space grows? Space can't grow. Time can't. Anything which is only a recognized aspect like time, you can't say it grows. Therefore, this Brahma, which is a light, light is not the physical light, which is just the chid matram, which is not limited by anything, which has no shape, which has no size, which has no attribute, which has no form, which is beyond all forms but supports all form. That cannot grow. It supports all growth. Everything grows, appears to grow within the lighted of Brahman. But Brahman itself, there is no growth. It doesn't need to grow. It is already everything. Purna Swarupa Lakshiyate. Therefore, it cannot deteriorate also. For the same reason, there is no form, size, shape. It's not limited by time, space, objects. Na vikaroti nityaha. Doesn't undergo any change. For a vikara to happen, you need avayava, you need guna. What is Nirguna, Niravaya, Nirakara, Nirmala, Swarupa, Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swarupa? That cannot have any change. And it is Nitya, forever there. And that forever means even the time is within it. Let's go to 135. Prakriti Vikriti Bhinnaha Shuddha Bodha Swabhavaha Sadasatidam Vasayan Nirviseshaha Vilasati Paramatma Jagradadishavastasu Ahamaham Sakshat Sakshi Rupena Buddhe Prakriti Vikriti Bhinnaha Shuddha Bodha Swabhavaha Sad Asad Idam Asesham Sat Asad Vasayanne Swayam Nirviseshaha Prakriti Vikriti Bhinnaha Shuddha Bodha Swabhavaha Sad Asad Idam Asesham Vasayati Vasayanne Vilasati Kim Tate Paramatma Jagradadishu avastasu aham iti sakshat sakshi rupena buddhehe sakshi buddhehe sakshi rupena sakshat aham iti vilasati. That is Paramatma. This Paramatma, what is this Paramatma? As you go on looking at what is the Atma, Atma means where is the I sense. Like Ramana Maharshi says, who am I? Who am I? You ask through the Shastra. It's not you just sit and ask, who am I? Who am I? You will get an answer. How will you get an answer? Because whoever is asking this, who am I? His content is that I. So, when you are asking the question, you have already become the Triputi. Pramatru Pramana Prameya. You are a Pramata when you are trying to seek. But you have to still ask that question of who am I through the Sastra Drishti. Pramana is needed. Then only the knowledge takes place, but not this Pramana. When you are asking the question, what is the Pramana you are using? What Pramana? Pramana means means of knowing. If you are just asking the question, who am I, who am I? The only Pramana you are using there is your own Buddhi. Your own Buddhi itself is lost in this because its own identity is within the Maya. It is not an independent means. So you need an independent Pramana, like a mirror that shows who you are, so that you yourself get falsified and your Swarupa, which is Brahma, the real Swarupa, is cognized. But ultimately, the point is the Atma, which is actually the real content of all the experiences, is beyond your individual ego, ahankara. That is why it is called Paramatma. The ahankara Atma is actually a Chidabhasa Atma. It is called Jivatma. But Chit Eka Rasam Brahma is the Paramatma. And that Paramatma is different from all the Prakriti and its Vikritis. Prakriti means Avyakrita Param Maya. So that which projects this whole world in the Shuddha Chaitanya, by which your senses perceive tangible things. The tangibility itself is perceived. The grossness is perceived through touch and reinforced through your sight and taste and smell. But if you evaluate, all of them are only sensory experiences. And sensory experiences is what appears as the tangible world. That is all Vikriti of the Prakriti. Trigunatmika Prakriti. Prakriti comprises of three. Prakriti doesn't have three qualities because the word guna is used. You shouldn't get confused thinking that the gunas are attributes of Prakriti. No. Trigunatmikam Prakriti. The three gunas are what together is called Prakriti. Bhagavad Padacharya clearly says this in the Gita Bhashya that Triguna iti paribhashika shabdani. Like that he Trigunani. Therefore, this Prakriti means this Triguna. That which makes this Chit Swarupa see different things. That is the Vikriti. Because the three guna then manifest as Panchabhuta and the Bhuta Prapancha and all the emotions and all that stuff, which is all lighted up by the Paramatma Swarupa, but itself is untainted by any of it. Therefore, Prakriti Vikriti Bhinnaha. And what is it? Suddha Bodha Swabhavaha. It is pure cognitive Swarupa. Suddha Bodha. Sadasad idam asesham vasayanne. That Swabhava, which is Suddha Bodha, it actually lights up things which are, this is an existing thing, this is non-existing thing. Horse exists, elephant exists, rabbit's horn doesn't exist. Pandyaputra doesn't exist. Like that, you say this is Sat, this is Asat. That is what is your whole world experience. Either it is Sat or it is Asat. And it is all known as Idam, 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 Idam. Except Paramatma, everything is known as Idam, 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 Idam. Therefore, he says Asesham, without exception. Everything is Idam, is part of this cognition only. That is why Shastra say, Dauhi Padartau Atma Anatmanau. There are only two things. One is me, the other is non-me. And all this non-me, that is Idam, Asesham Bhasayati Shuddha Bodhatma. Idam is all lighted up and have their existence because of Aham. Therefore, Idam is Mithya, Aham is Satyam. That's why Purnamadaha, Purnamidam, Purnat Purnamudachyate. This idam, whatever is known as idam, that is a Prakriti Vikriti, is Purnam because it is Purnat Udachyate. The Adaha, which is Atma, which is the Karanam for this idam Karyam. There cannot be two Purnam. Because if there are two Purnam, then both are not Purnam. If Aham is Purnam, the idam cannot restrict it. Therefore, if both are Purnam, one is Satyam, the other is Mithya, means there are actually no two things, then only there can be a Purnam. So, Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avasishyate. Therefore, this Atma is the Purnam. Idam Taya, this Anatma cannot be Purnam, but is Purnam because of Atma. Therefore, it is Mithya. The Nirvishesha Atma lights up all that is there. Vilasati Parama Atma, and it is seen as three states: Jagrati, Swapna, Sushupti, everything. And in every idam there is an aham, iti buddhi sakshi, which is always there. Whether you are seeing dream or it is the only thing which is there, everything else is namarupa superimposed on it. There is no content in anything. You go and see the content, it is only Brahma Vastu. So when I say no content other than the Swarupa. The easiness is alone the content, which is your Swarupa. That is 135 verse. Now 136. Niyamita manusamum tvam swatmanamatmani ayamahamiti sakshat viddhi buddhi prasadat yeni maranatarangapara samsara sindhum pratara bhava kritarto brahma rupena samstaha. Niyamitam anu niyamita manasa amum tvam swam atmanam atmani ayamahamiti sakshat viddhi buddhi prasadat viddhi. Jani marana taranga para samsara sindhum pratara kritarto bhava brahma rupena samstaha sanne. Tvam brahma rupena samstaha sanne kritarto bhava. Katham swatmanam swam atmanam atmani ayamahamiti jnanayana. So he says kritartaha bhava. Artaha kritaha. The one who has achieved, has accomplished what needs to be accomplished, that is kritartaha. The whole life is to accomplish something. It is not about just procreating, enjoying alone. There should be a certain purpose. That is called kritartatvam. You came here for a purpose. Otherwise, Ashwadibhyaha Avisheshat. There is no difference between any animals and other living beings and the human. You have been given a certain intellect, capacity to analyze, to determine, to explore. There is a lot of Shakti which has been provided. Jnana Shakti, Ichcha Shakti and Kriya Shakti is fullest for you. So it is with a purpose. And that purpose cannot be anything which you do here in the world is with a limited end. That is not Kritarthatvam if you achieve this limited end. But if you achieve the unlimited, infinite, then you are a Kritarthaha. You have achieved the real objective. How do you achieve that? Brahma Rupena Samstha. Just being Brahma. Samstha. Samyak Tishtadi. Here, Samyak Tishtha or Tishtanti San. Tishtantaha San. Brahma Rupena. You are already Brahman. But your mind recognizing that is what it means. You don't stand like Brahman means what? How do you stand? Like without any movement. Like the Zen monks. Don't look here and there. Just stand straight. Stillness is what you are. Like that. No. Already Brahma is samstha only. Just resolve your mind in it. Then you become Brahma Rupena samstha. Why do you call it as Kritarthatvam? What does it imply? Jani Marana Taranga Para Samsara Sindhum Pratara. Cross this ocean. Why is it called ocean? Because the other shore is not visible. That is the difference between river and the ocean. In the case of some of the lakes, especially in the United States, there are many lakes. Lake Chicago, Lake Tahoe, Lake Michigan and all that. These lakes are like ocean only. They call it lake, but they are very big. You can't see the other side. And samsara is also like that. Predominantly, it's called samsara because you can't see the param. Can't see the other side. You keep on swimming also, you don't reach there. Take a boat also, it is difficult to reach the other side. These days anyway, aeroplane is there, all that is there. But as an example, it is said because you can't see the other side, so you can't cross it easily. That kind of a Sindhu is this samsara also. Other side is not visible. You keep going, samsara continues. But you can cross Jani Marana Taranga. It has many waves. What kind of samsara it is? It is apara samsara. Not an ordinary Bay of Bengal. It is like a Pacific Ocean and Atlantic Ocean. It's a huge one. And it contains what? Many waves of Jani Marana. Many births, many deaths, many births, many deaths. Our own many births, many deaths. Looking around, you see many births, many deaths. That kind of a samsara you can cross. But how do I cross, sir? That he gives in the first line. Niyamita manasa amum. I make your mind niyamita first. It's a practice. You have to listen first to all classes. I mean, nowadays there is another problem. We listen to 100 different people. Each one says, seem to be teaching the same thing, but then actually end up telling different things. So which class, what I sit and listen? That you have to decide. But you have to keep your mind focused on a certain text. Explore it properly. Understand. First of all, the person who is expounding should have the vision of Brahman. Without that, it's only words. technically you can, anybody who understands the language can use the word. It's not very difficult. But is the vision there? How do I know whether that person has the vision or not? Will be the question. The only way you can probably make a anumana inference is if you are able to see some fact, there is some flash of light when you listen to the person, then you can say, okay, the person has the vision. So then you listen. Otherwise, what is the problem is the same text. 5 different people gives 5 different interpretation because either all 5 don't know, or out of 5 only one person has, 1 or 2 have the vision, the other 3 don't know. So there are many ways in which it is taught and you don't gain the jnana. That is a problem of plenty today. See, nowadays when we used to learn, there was no internet or anything. So there are many books, but then you have to basically find one guru. Like I had my own guru, Swami Dayananda Saraswati, right? Now, he is the only source. Before I arrived at him, I had obviously had many different, I also on a pursuit, and I had gone from one place to another. I don't want to name all of them here, but eventually when I found that I am able to recognize certain facts much better when my Swamiji started expounding, then I submitted myself to him as my, and by his grace he became my guru. Then what happens? Until you gain that jnanam, it is your shraddha with your guru and your guru's responsibility. It happens like a magic. But today we all listen to n number of people, and that is one problem today. I'm not talking about any individual here. In today's context of how this knowledge is being pursued, it is difficult to become a jnani unless one takes a dedicated plunge. Because there is a context in this verse, I am telling this. My intent is not to critique on the situation, but niyamita manasamum is said. So what is this niyamitam? Not only regulating your own mind, but also regulating it in a way that you listen and study from a proper source. Tvam atmanam atmani ayam ahamiti sakshat vidhi buddhi prasada. Then your Ishvara prasada. Buddhi prasada means Ishvara prasada only. Buddhi itself is Hiranyagarbha. That prasada, by the grace of Lord, you will gain it as your Swarupa. Then you become Kritakritya, the person who has accomplished. In Hindi they say Paunchilaya Mahatma. Kritartha. You will see Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.